This ordinance will ensure that public art will be part of the long-range plan for Minneapolis for generations to come. Please join me in supporting this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Brenda Kaiser, followed by Bob Cost and Becky Franklin.
Hi, Brenda Kaiser, and the address is 215 7th Street Northeast in Minneapolis. And I'm a professor, urban geography professor at the University of Minnesota. But today, I'm here as a representative of the arts in Northeast. I'm president of the board of the Northeast Minneapolis Arts Association. NEMA produces Art-A-Whirl, Fall Fine Arts, which opens tomorrow night, and Wintertide. The organization represents close to 800 members, businesses, galleries, community friends, and most importantly, over 650 artists. On any given day, you can visit Northeast and observe the positive economic impacts of these arts entrepreneurs who are running their small businesses in the spaces abandoned by large-scale manufacturing. They are producing their products in repurposed studios, paying rent, buying supplies, coffee, lunch, dinner. They're attracting others to Northeast to view and buy their products and imbibe in whatever Northeast has to offer. I'm not sure I need to argue so forcefully for the positive economic impacts of the arts. I think there's been enough studies to support this argument and history as well. However, public art, which also has a long history, is an outward expression of this economic driver, this artistic milieu. And I'm here today to support the effort to ensure the city's consistent fiscal support of this aspect of the arts. In support of fiscal sustainability, I note two things. One, much of the way that we've understood cities through history is through public art. And two, I suggest that fostering the creative placemaking benefits of public art necessitates more than just adopting the conceptual terminology. I highlight my first point by referring to the recently completed mural by a Brazilian graffiti artist that depicts the homegrown singer-songwriter Bob Dylan. There is so much to be told in the making of this mural beyond the social media explosion. The cachet of the international artist, the representation of the local turned international talent of Dylan, the city's claim to his legacy, maybe the gesture of remorse by Goldman Sachs, maybe not. Suffice it to say, the buzz generated by this arts project goes far beyond paint. But this is a privately funded project on private property. It is not the city's to tout, and it's not in perpetuity. It is for public purview, but it is not public art. And it highlights the need for the city to be engaged in generating its own written legacy through artistic endeavor. My second point is brief, and that is to say that the city has done so much to raise awareness of the wealth of arts activity, as well as foster growth. This afternoon, I'll attend the Creative City Roadmap function at Public Functionary. But this support, however, is best demonstrated through concrete fiscal action. Attracting creatives, the creative economy, the creative placemaking, while being conceptually sound guidelines for the future growth of the city, nonetheless become rhetoric if only spoken about and not acted upon. So on behalf of the artists and the artistic community in Northeast, I request that you approve this sound and sustainable proposal for a guaranteed funding stream for public arts program. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cost.
Good morning. Bob Cost. I am representing Forecast Public Art, Minnesota's oldest organization dedicated to public art. We're at 2300 Myrtle Avenue in St. Paul. We also publish Public Art Review, which is basically the Northern Hemisphere's only magazine dedicated to the notion and the practice of public art. So a couple points to make. And I serve as the chair of the board of directors. Enhanced Public Realm attracts and retains public talent, artistic talent. We've got a great group of artists working in Minnesota, and over the years, thanks to Minneapolis and its support of public art, that field of inquiry and those practitioners continue to grow. So we think that's really something that is well supported by this ordinance. I think also the other thing we find really interesting and highly supportive in the ordinance is that it includes monies for conservation and maintenance, that piece that often is forgotten. But as we see in doing the work out on Nicollet Mall and other places, is so absolutely critical. The city has established a strong collection of public art over the years, developed strong, talented leadership. We think it's really critical to build on that foundation. And I think lastly, what you've heard from others, and I'll just echo, is this notion of the public nature of public art and its ability to really enhance our community, continue to keep Minneapolis as one of the top 5 creative places in the country, and really keep us on the map as a great place for creativity. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Franklin?
I'm Becky Franklin. I live at 5401 Oliver Avenue South, and I work at 3000 University Avenue Southeast. And I'm the current chair of the Minneapolis Arts Commission. I want to talk about the public art piece of this. The supporting the public art ordinance improves the well-being of our community in several ways. One, public art contributes to the economic development of our city. Beyond providing employment opportunities for artists, public art attracts residents, visitors, and businesses. Well-maintained public art is a visual indication that the city cares about its assets and its people. Public art also improves the livability of our city. Public art signifies that our community is a place worthy of living in, and that the many cultures that make up our city are worth preserving. The public art program is engaging. As artists gather citizen input and involve community stakeholders to design their works, the process can become a powerful leverage for community engagement and revitalization. The pieces are loved by the neighborhoods, and they are available for everyone to engage with and enjoy. In this case, no admission is required for public art. And lastly, the ordinance is important for program stability as it allows for staff and artists to plan and manage the public art projects more efficiently and effectively. Last night, the Arts Commission approved the 5-year outlook for art in public places. While the projects may evolve and change over the next 5 years, we are relying on consistent funding to cover the costs of maintaining and conserving existing pieces, as well as the commissioning and installation of new pieces. Again, the ordinance allows the public art program to be managed efficiently and effectively, and we feel it's the responsible solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Anyone else? Come on up, please, and just state your name and address for the record.
Wing Young Huey, 3730 Chicago Avenue South. I live in South Minneapolis. I'm a professional artist. Art is in the process of being redefined. The language of art is often inaccessible because you didn't go to the right schools or you weren't born in the right neighborhoods. In a way, I'm surprised that I am a professional artist. I have an outsider's perspective. I didn't grow up in an art environment. Everyone in my family was an immigrant except me. My parents, to my knowledge, never set foot in a museum. I never once heard my parents utter the word art. It had no meaning to them, no value. Just about everyone in my family owned a Chinese restaurant except me. When people ask me what I do for a living, I say I'm a professional artist. Invariably, the next question is, do you make a living at it? Yes, I do, I say. Then they go, good for you. Well, our society seems to value artists, but not support them. Money is poured into institutional museums that house high-priced art. But if all that high-priced art and all that institutions that showed that art disappeared tomorrow, how many people would notice? My parents wouldn't. And probably for many of the people in the neighborhoods in South Minneapolis that surround my gallery, their lives will not change one iota. I have a gallery in the urban core in South Minneapolis called The Third Place, where we have monthly events free to the public. We put out a donation jar. We bring in artists from all different genres to do something interactive and accessible. I was talking to the cashier at the corner grocery store across the street from my gallery, Cup Foods, which is Palestinian owned and has a mosque in the basement. The cashier said to me, "What do you do over there?" When I told her, she just shook her head. She said, "I don't understand art." All that is exhibited in a museum is by definition art because the curator said so. Museums have been a large part of my formative experience as an artist. But put those same pieces on the street, then what happens? I believe the most interesting art today is happening in storefronts, in living rooms, in neighborhoods, in third places. The value of art is being redefined, shaped not by pure aesthetics, but by societal relationships and cultural impacts. Chicago Avenue, where I live and where my gallery is located, has been revived and strengthened by efforts by Councilperson Glidden. Arts in Chicago initiative by Pillsbury House commissioned 20 public art projects that were interactive, which I was a part of. I photographed the everyday lives of hundreds of citizens along that corridor and installed those photos in storefronts along Chicago Avenue. A permanent installation of 30 photos is hung on the ceiling of Cup Foods so that the cashier and its customers can see their neighbors every day. Hopefully, it will be the people on the street and in corner grocery stores who will decide the values and meanings of art. The future of neighborhoods is intertwined with the future of art. Art, as it is being redefined, is not a luxury. It is essential to society's well-being. That's why this initiative is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to just comment very quickly on the importance, I think, has been laid out pretty well by the testimony today. It really hits home why we do this. I mean, if there's all this art activity happening in the city, why would the city need to get involved anyways? If there's like several hundred studios producing art and creative companies, engaging in artistic endeavors, why would the city have to put this amount of money to do anything at all? Well, I think it was just stated in the last testimony, we need to have a guarantee that the public has access to art that's not only out there, but is maintained over time and is part of the fabric of the city in the way that other supporting infrastructure is. And so I think it's not so much the amount, but the fact that it's there at all and we're committed to it and it's substantial, it's real, you can touch it, you can engage with it, you can talk about it, and you don't have to worry about it going away. It's there. And the other component of this, I think the effort, which of course Councilmember Glidden put much time into this and a lot of leadership and a lot of great communication with the public to get to this point, engaging the staff, the departments really came there with their work hats on to really hammer through something that would make sense from their own departmental areas, but to make sure that the overall package was sound, compatible with how those departments operate and on a budgetary framework that I think will be consistent over time and allow for the planning that we have called upon the Arts Commission and the department to do. You can't have accountability without stability. And I think this is the other side of that original coin. So I won't belabor the point of the value. I just want to I think we have a great framework to say if we value it, we should do it. And now we have a good framework to do it. I think is the point here. I think Councilmember Goodman really has just emphasized how important the process is. When a group comes to the table and starts working, you start to assume what things mean is what they mean. And now I think we're called upon to make certain aspects more explicit. So bullet point 2, second bullet point of recommendation 2, I'll have a staff direction for the same team to hammer out explicit language that says the purview of the commission is X, it's public, and it's municipal activities, and it's related to the capital stuff that we're investing in. And I think that clarity can be hammered out with the group. It'll have to be ready to go for Friday or next Friday. Otherwise, I think there'll be council members having questions anew. So with that, I want to move this item with that staff direction.
Okay, Councilmember Reich has moved both recommendations with that staff direction.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's unfortunate that both of these items came forward together because the really major item here is item number 1, which is what are we going to do as it pertains to funding going forward? That seems to be the more critical issue. If you look at the map that Mary Altman put up, I would say there's more public art in my ward than most of the other wards combined. And my biggest issue with public art is maintenance and the fact that we just simply do not have enough funding to maintain the things we already have. The reason I'm supporting this is because I think this addresses that issue clearly and in a really positive way. There have been many artworks around my ward that just have not had as much attention as they deserve. Many of them are made out of unique materials. They cost more to maintain, and we certainly are like anyone else. We like shiny new things, not taking care of the things that we have. And so I think that this for the first time in a long time, clarifies that there'll be money available, and most importantly, in my opinion, money to maintain the important artworks that we have while adding new ones to the system. So thank you very much, Councilmember Glidden and Councilmember Wright, for helping solve that problem.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm very supportive of this, and I just wanted to reiterate the thanks to Councilmember Reich and Council Vice President Glidden for their leadership on this and for their work on this, and to thank those that came out today and those that aren't here today but are across our community who support this wholeheartedly and have written in and are champions for the arts.
Excellent. Well, I'll add my thanks as well to Council Vice President and Councilmember Reich. I think this is so important, and thank you so much for the leadership of our Arts Commission and the other artists who came today to speak. You are leaders in our community, and you capture a part of our city that makes us stand out. And your efforts, I think, just really make our city a special place. And this is the least we can do, I think, to reiterate our commitment to the arts. So I'm very supportive. So on the motion to move forward with recommendations 1 and 2 with staff direction to clarify the language in recommendation 2, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? And that carries. That is our final item today, and we are adjourned.